back to Blake's Craft Beer Podcast. My name is Blake Bonfell. I'm with my two buddies. They're own a brewery. They're podcasters now. They're everything now. And barbecue, aficionados. I mean, John Haggerty, Nick Bowman from Warped Wing Brewing. Welcome back.
We used to call those people Renaissance men. I think Nick qualifies. Nick's more Renaissance than I am.
I do appreciate some things, like some old school things.
Do you know how to spell Renaissance?
Yeah, you just
That didn't sound very confident.
You Google it.
But no, it's great to have you guys back on.
It's great to be back.
And so I guess we start off with your podcast. Congrats on that. We're joining the world of podcasting and.
Well, I think it's important to note that our marketing team, which is Tara, Spores, and Chris. What's Chris's last name? DeRosa. Tara and Chris, man, they really do. They do it. They organize it. They kind of rough the script out for us, and then we just go and screw it all up and talk about whatever we want to talk about.
Yeah.
But they do the heavy lifting. They do.
Yeah, well, and I think it's important to note that, we kind of said, hey, we want to do a podcast, not because all the cool kids are doing podcasts, obviously, but.
What, they're not?
Well, there's a lot of cool ones, including Blake Longfellow. Yeah. I don't even have a cool name like that, Blake Longfellow. But it was like, they didn't know how to do it, and they figured it out. And not only did they figure it out, but I mean, they figured out how to record us, make us sound good. They figured out how to film and edit the film, and then also to add captions. And then on top of it, to play it in our tap rooms, it's playing right behind you. So it's a little bit different, Blake, I think, than yours, because ours is, it's short and to the point. It's 30 minutes. It's like more of an update, but it keeps people in tune of like what's happening on the beer side, the food side, event side. It's more just an informational thing. But I've had people like come up to me and say they're enjoying it and it's entertaining and it's informative and things I never thought I would hear about us. But it's
entertaining and informative. That would have been at the bottom of the list of adjectives, I think.
I think it's
that would have easy to describe myself.
I just think podcasts are a great way of spreading the word.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is.
And yes, I don't have video yet. I don't know if that will ever be me, but it's always been some fun. And you told me a long time ago my last name meant I should be talking about beer. So I'm holding true to it.
You are.
Yes.
And you're doing a great job. I mean,
thank you.
We're proud of you and the fact of, you've reached out to so many people and gotten interviews with them. And now you're like a well-known name in the local beer scene, at least in Ohio. And I think that's pretty cool, man. Mm-hmm. And, I also want to say we're proud of you because you are talking about craft beer. You're keeping it out in front of people, which we appreciate as brewers. It would be easy to not talk about craft beer right now, but you're leaning into it. You're celebrating everything that we're doing. And I think that you should be commended for that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
I really do.
For sure.
Huge advocate for Dayton beer. It's great.
Yeah, that's where this all started. It was like everyone, like Cleveland has a great guy, Toledo has a great guy, and Cincinnati has an amazing guy down there covering. It was like Dayton was missing, which Dayton I always thought is a lost child. When you're talking craft beer, Dayton is its own market, and I think it's a great market.
We agree.
It has been up and down, but because the way I view Dayton is that yes, we've lost some people, but those same places have reopened with different owners or a whole rebrand of it, which I think that's commended at what Dayton is. That they're very resilient.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's a battle. I mean, craft beer's always has been, right? There's been periods where I think it's felt easy for people, or it looked easy from the outside because growth was exponential. But beer as a whole, craft beer specifically, is a tough nut, right? Because it's really tight margins. You got to execute. You got to provide good service. And it's hard. It's hard work, man. It's not for everybody. So It's always been that way. We've seen it before. Like if you go back to the late 90s, early 2000s, you saw a lot of the similar kind of shakeout you're seeing now. So there's a little bit of a cycle going on, but I have no doubt that, the industry as a whole will weather this. And when we come out the other side, it's going to be stronger for it. So,
yeah.
Is that why you guys push so many events? Is that why you guys push as many beer? One thing I love about you guys is how many beer releases you guys do a year.
Yeah.
Which where you see like other places like like they don't even do that much anymore. But I appreciate like places like Warped Wing that still pushes beer releases and stuff like that because it's just a fun time to get around each other.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's part of what attracts someone into this industry. I think if you wanted to drink the same thing all the time, then you might not be in the craft beer scope, whether you're a consumer or a producer or whatever. So it's those one-offs I think that can make it really interesting. And of course we do a lot of self-analysis on what works, what doesn't work, what's gaining traction, what isn't gaining traction. And for us, and I can't speak for anybody else, but for us, those one-off drops help drive a lot of business and a lot of attention. So you can overdo it, certainly, but without them, I think your fans become a little complacent with your brand. And so we need that to hold everybody's attention. So it's a balancing game, but it's the fun part, right? I mean, you don't want to go to work and do the same thing over and over and over and over every day, every single day. Mm-hmm. It's like it gives you something to look out for, right?
Right.
So, yeah, it's good.
So what's like the balance? Because I know sometimes I see you guys bring something back like here and there, but also sometimes you bring something new back. What's that balance of, hey, they're expecting this beer to come back, but also at the same time surprise them with something new?
Well, I think that sometimes it's hard to say, right? To sit here and try to say there's a scientific formula that tells us, oh, this is when you do this particular thing, would be a bold-faced lie, right? It's not. There's nothing that scientific about it. A lot of it is like, hey, we're trying to fill certain times a year. We know this is going to be the weather pattern. We know roughly when spring's going to happen. We want to have some beer, like the liquid picnic that comes out. So the weather starts to change. So some of that is just common sense. Some of it is like, oh, hey, we under forecasted for a particular time of year, and now we need to find something we can make that we can put in there and do quickly, right? So some of it's planned, some of it's knee jerk, some of it's on the fly, make it up as you go.
I think, John touched on the seasonality appropriateness. I think you look at consumer trends as well. You look at a couple different things. When you look at, let's say, something like Flying Rye we brought back, right? That was one of the original 3 beers. So there's a nostalgia there for people that have been with us since the beginning. And we also know that rye beers traditionally have done well in the springtime. So it's seasonally appropriate. It's got nostalgia play. It's an IPA. So we know that that's still a thing in craft. At least I think it is.
Yeah, I don't think IPA is ever going to go away.
Yeah. So, and then, we look at depending on, like John said, if we get into a scenario where we under forecast it, okay, well, how much lead time do we have? I can't just, tell John we need something in 2 weeks, right? We got to look at the lead time. What kind of beer can we make in the time that we have? Do we have artwork? Right, that's a big thing. Now with the labeled cans, we have a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more nimbleness to move quicker. But all those things have to be taken into consideration when you're bringing out either an old school favorite or you're coming out with something new. So it's a balance of all that.
So one of the things, like a new thing that's coming out, and Nick's point about market trends, right? There's a movement to lower alcohol beer. And so around the beginning of June, we're going to be coming out with a new beer that's going to be like a low alcohol, like a 3.5% IPA, pale ale, hoppy. Be good for like people that like hops but don't want to have to get knocked off their bar stool, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, right? This year is like lower alcohol beers, and so
Yeah,
we're going to try to lean into that a little bit.
they're a lot of people think that's going to be the big trend this year, and they're calling them mid-strength beers. And it's funny because John and I were talking about it, and it's like, you remember the old 3-2 beers, and it was kind of like, a little what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it, but I think to that point, the reason that that's becoming a trend is, traditionally to make an IPA that low of an ABV probably wouldn't taste that good, right? I mean, to get that low, but there's new advancements in technology, right? There's new stuff out there.
Well, there's new hop material out there, which is really interesting and fun to play with. But I think you could have done it before. It's just there wasn't demand for it. Now there is demand, and the fact that you have some of these new hop extracts and so forth, I think it aids in the production of those beers. You don't have as big a concern about like hop creep and some of that other stuff when you're dry hopping beers. Certain hop varieties will give you so on and so forth. So it's, I think it's interesting. I think the main thing though is that there seems to be a consumer demand for lower alcohol beers, but still full flavored, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so, we're gonna work on that a little bit. Like I said, we got that coming out. We got some other stuff we're working on too. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Right, you still have some of your heavy stuff too, I'm assuming, right?
Oh
Well,
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we're gonna.
No triple hazies.
What are you talking
We don't
about?
have any
No
triple
hazies.
hazies.
Well, yeah, of course. I
Only
mean,
one
we're
man
going to
can
make
make those.
whiskey, we're going to make Baltic, and we're going to make all the big beers. We got some double IPAs coming out, So
Your last double, you had that was super delic.
Oh yeah, that's coming back in a few weeks.
Yeah, that's coming back. We had Mr. Mean.
Oh yeah, that was good too.
Yeah, talk about a nostalgic. A lot of people like that beer, so we brought that back first time in a while.
Yeah, super delic's in the tank right now.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's coming out for the anniversary party. People, that was a popular one last year,
Oh, yeah.
so bringing that bad boy back.
The big one that surprised me when you started doing just a regular Rebellion, because
Oh, yeah.
I used to hear, that will never come back, and now it's back.
Well, yeah, a lot of people request that over the years. Like, hey, you think about just making the base stout without barrel aging, and I don't know, like logistically, it didn't work, or we just wasn't the right time. But a couple years ago, John and I talked about how he could do it and made it work, and it's been a nice little addition to like the whiskey family to have the Rebellion out by itself. I mean, who doesn't? I remember my early days in craft when I discovered Imperial Stouts, and I really enjoyed them quite a bit.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe too much.
So I'm drinking a liquid picnic right now. So talk about the beer and how it became.
how it became Liquid Picnic.
Yes.
Well, the beer itself, I'll let Nick talk about how the name came about. But the beer itself, it's basically a saison style. And when we first started making it, we had it hopped up pretty good. We kind of backed off on that a little bit over time. It's really relies heavily on the yeast character, right? Saisons are really a yeast character driven beer. And so for this one, we use a blend of 3 different Saison strains to make it. Because some of the strains are really good at doing certain things and others are better at doing other things. And so, like some don't like to get started. Some don't like to finish, right? So we kind of we picked 3 different strains that we felt like were complementary in terms of their performance and their flavor contributions and so on and so forth. And, put them in and it's like, let's go to work and see what happens. So I think it has a really nice like lemon citrus note in it. And I think it turned out really nice this year. I've been drinking a lot of that beer actually.
I'm actually drinking it right now.
Me too.
Blake and I are, and it's been one of my go-to, like probably my first shifty of the day when I have one. That's a cool beer. John has an affinity for making Saison, Belgian beers, so we kind of leaned into that. It's always good when John gets excited about making the beer. That's always a positive. From a brand standpoint, the name came to us in a non-traditional manner. We were out having beers with our attorneys. Shout out to Adam and Kevin. I think we went to a Dragons game and we were hitting some bars, and they had
We were completely sober.
two beer names for us, if you remember. One of them we did not use, but the one we did use
What was the one that we didn't use? You remember?
Techno Chicken.
Remember.
We have yet to make Techno Chicken, but we have made Liquid Picnic several times. If you see this beer out, the can art is wild. It's really got a Beatles vibe, Yellow Submarine. Shout out to Jill Brewer, the illustrator on that can, and John Pattison, creative director, who put together that original art. We actually won an Addy Award, an American Advertising Award for that can design. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, it's easy drinking. It fits this time of year. It's fun label, colorful. It kind of draws you in and invites you to pull it off the shelf.
But next year we're changing the name to Techno Chicken.
Techno Chicken.
Cool. I'm excited to see that beer.
Yeah, that's one you can really get into. Techno Chicken.
If you release it like around the next Minecraft, it might actually explode.
Chicken Jockey.
Yes.
Yeah.
So talk to me about Saisons a little bit, because I've had my fair share. This is probably one of my favorite Saisons, but I've had a lot of Saisons that are bad. Or maybe it's just not my profile. But what makes a good Saison? Or is it like a wide variety of where you can go with the Saison?
I think, Saison historically I don't think is super definitive as a style, because the sort of allegorical story with Saison is that they were these beers that were given to the farm hands, like the farmer would have to refresh his field hands over the summer, and so instead of making something out of the premium grains and so forth they would take sort of the leftover stuff and mix it together. They'd make this low strength beer, and that was during a time when it really wasn't safe to drink water unless it was unless you boiled it. But beer, because the alcohol, it would be safe. And so it's a little bit hard to know what those beers would have been like exactly. I'm sure if you were to go talk to someone like Randy Mosher, he could probably give you a better definitive answer than I'm able to. But from there, they've turned into these sort of specialty beers, and they can range from fairly low alcohol to fairly high alcohol. They can be hoppy, they can not be hoppy. But one of the things I think that they tend to have in common is they tend to be dry and crisp and pretty easily drinkable regardless of the alcohol content, right? So for me, when we make ours, we make it pretty simply. It's Pilsner malt, little bit of wheat, and Saison yeast. It's pretty straightforward. Other guys, they might put a little bit of caramel malt or something in it just to give it or maybe a bit of something to give it some color, make it a little bit of a copper sort of color. So you'll see that sometimes. But it's up to everybody's interpretation of what it is they think they want, which really is the definition of this whole industry, right? I mean, we could all sit here and try to make the perfect example of any given style, and if you follow that logic down the rabbit hole, eventually everybody's making the same thing.
Right.
And it's like, why would you do that? And why would you want anyone to do that? Right.
No.
I mean, I think you want, as a craft beer fan and as a craft brewer, I want to have the latitude to do what I think is going to taste good in my own interpretation of what a particular style is to me. And hopefully, if I do that and I do it well, I can find an audience that'll buy it. And assuming that I do, I get to keep my job. If I don't, then I guess I'm going to go do something else, dig ditches or clean toilets or whatever. But that's the way it really works. And so you go to these different breweries and they taste different. It's not necessarily better or worse. It's just different, right? And so for you as the consumer, it might be better or worse. I like this one more than I like that one. But you got to be careful also because, I see this a lot with people, our fans, other breweries fans, they get used to a particular flavor profile. Like if they're coming here, there's a way that we're brewing that's putting a particular flavor into the beer that sort of unifies. All the beers taste different, but they all have like a similar thread that runs through them. And it's like when you drink it, you can identify it. It's like listening to music on the radio. Like, it's Eddie Van Halen playing the guitar when you hear it within the first couple of notes, right? It's Jimi Hendrix playing the guitar when you hear it. So they're doing something, they're playing the guitar, everybody's playing the guitar, right? But there's something that they're doing that's different. So it stands out. So that's what you want from your brewer also. And so then your consumers start to compare back. So if they're a fan of your brewery, it's like you become the benchmark to them and everything else that they try then gets compared back. And of course, they won't like it as much because it's not the thing they're comparing it back to, right? So you have to be careful about that because then you start to evaluate beers not based on their own merits, but based on how well they compare back to your local, right? And, that's great. I love it. I love that our fans do that. That makes them keep coming back to us, right? But I think in terms of evaluating beer and saying, hey, this is a good beer, it's not a good beer, it's not necessarily the best way to do it, right?
And I think that travels, it's just not like breweries, but it's like the state you're in. Like sometimes you go to a different state. I don't know what it is on some other states. It's like, man, are we this lucky with Ohio? How many good beers in Ohio? Or is it just, do you think that's the same method too?
I think that there's a couple of things there. Like one, you hire someone to come in and be the brewer, and then they train people on their staff, and then those people start to split off and go work for other breweries that are around. So if you get a few good handfuls of people that are there at the start of the brewery scene, that can really elevate, the rest of the breweries that come after, because those breweries are picking up people that worked for people that really knew what they were doing. And this industry is really internship, apprenticeship based. Right, like you can go to school all you want and get a degree in brewing science, but until you really go do it and work with somebody that knows what they're doing, it's hard to apply that science and really get it to come out the right way. It's a little bit like being a chef or something like that, right? That's the first thing. Then the second thing I think is different states have access to different raw materials, and one of them that's really important that doesn't get enough credit is water, right? And we're fortunate, at least here in Dayton, to have really great water. And I think a lot of Ohio has access to really great water, whereas a lot of other places don't. They have to do some really heavy duty lifting on treating their water to get it to be functional. And then they got to reconstitute it back and do a bunch of other stuff. So it has an impact on the quality of the beer. So I think to some degree, Ohio benefits from that.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Nick?
What was the question?
Why is beer in Ohio so good?
Well, I mean, it's hard to expand upon that even further than what John said. It's interesting to hear him talk about that because that's right. It's like colonies, that expand and spread out. And, I think it also stems to, we've got a very passionate beer scene. A lot of people work hard, and I think it's one of those things where competition raises the bar, right? I mean, and we're in a time right now where, good beer is the bare minimum. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many more things that you need to do and need to be successful in this industry. Good beer used to be,
Yeah, that used to be the differentiator.
Yeah.
And now it's like, you got to start with that.
Yeah, you got
to do all the other stuff better.
Yeah. So I think it's a culmination of a lot of different things, including what John said. But I think, it's interesting to me, my partner, John, never homebrewed a day in his life, right?
Yeah, that's true.
He went to Germany to the VLB and graduated top of his class. And, I brag about that all the time. And that's not the only way you can go, right? I mean, a lot of guys homebrew and then make the jump to commercial. Some guys homebrew and then they decide to go get a formal education. There's no right or wrong way to go.
Yeah. Now, I did work for like 10 years for other breweries before I went to brewing school. Right? So it wasn't like I just started doing it.
Yeah.
But
I thought you just were born and they were like, oh, he's a brewer.
I came out of the womb knowing how to stir mash.
Oh.
Yeah. No,
Bestow upon you, John Haggerty.
No, I was really lucky. I mean, I lived out in Seattle during the 90s after I graduated from college. And so stuff was really just starting, to happen in craft beer. And I was fortunate to have some really good mentors in Ed Tringali and Dick Cantwell and Fal Allen, and people that I still talk to today. And I mean, they were great. They were great teachers, great supporters. I called on them a lot over the years of my career for help and advice and so on and so forth. So it's important. It's a big deal.
So as a business, how do you guys balance of having good beer, good food, good soda? How do you navigate all of that? Because like I said, beer is just not enough anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it all started with, making great beer, what I consider world-class beer, right? That was the start we just talked about. And from there, I think from John and I's standpoint, we both came from very different backgrounds, but I think the commonality that we both have is, however it was ingrained in us, we have a desire to always try our best and do our best and provide the best. We're both competitive individuals. And I think, a good example of that is we started out with beer, right? Well, we didn't always have food. Now we have a pretty robust food program. And our vision was always to have a food program that matched the quality of the beer, right? And we strive for that. We still strive for that. And, we're still striving to improve our process, improve the quality of the food that we put out there. So I think it starts out with the basic philosophy of like, hey, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it at the top level, service. And we try to train and bring in, the best people, whether it's a beer tender or a bartender or a front of the house server. We identify those individuals that, really get it and can provide that top level of customer service. And even now, customer service is the bare minimum. It's hospitality. It's customer intimacy. It's knowing your customers, and they have a lot of choices of where they can go and spend their money. And so we want to be that place that, knows your name when you come in. We know what kind of beers you like. And when you sit down, we might even give you a sample. Hey, check this out. The new Liquid Picnic. I know you like Belgians. Check this out. That kind of thing. Atmosphere. I think it started with this place. It's hard because this has so much history baked into it and character, from being a 1938 building. But we were committed to that spirit when we built Springboro out. How do we take that character and that coolness factor and that wow factor and bake it into a new build? And there was things that we did, that we were committed to. And it worked out. And then, you go into existing buildings and you don't really have that many options to do that, but there's still things that you can do to make it feel like Warped Wing, to make it consistent across the business. And that's just kind of how we've always approached it. And as we've expanded the business, we've taken that same philosophy across everything that we do, not just beer now, but food, people, service. And, we're not perfect. We're still working on that, always working on that, always working on getting better.
I agree. I mean, that's the thing. I will say that the restaurant side has been a bigger challenge for me personally. I know the brewery. That's where my experience is. It's interesting. I was thinking about this while you were answering that question, Nick. Like, I think our newest employee in the brewery has been here for about 2 years, maybe a little bit over. But, the kitchen staffs, they don't do that, right? And so it creates a particular challenge because the turnover rate is higher. So, it's something that we work on because obviously we would prefer that rate to slow down. Mm-hmm. We do have some people that have been here for a while, but there's a certain portion.
Hey, your pit master's an awesome guy.
Yeah. There's a certain portion, though, that we can't seem to get settled in for some reason. And, that's been a challenge because then you're starting from scratch and like trying to get people, bought into the system and so forth. So
yeah, and it
has its own unique challenges, for sure.
And I think to expand on that, it's been a challenge to integrate our old school staff, because we have a lot of people that are on the barrelhead, that have been with us 5, 10 years. And then, when we introduce the tap room model, it's just a little bit different. In connecting with those individuals, but we've been able to do that with some of them, and you can kind of start to identify those warped wingers, if you will. Mm-hmm. And that's been kind of fun, but we're still striving for how to better connect with some of those team members and get them to buy in, to what we're doing, the bigger vision. It's not just one location and,
right. And, oh yeah, by the way, we opened the first tap room outside the brewery under the pandemic. So we've been doing all this. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. It's like, I don't think we've had a quote unquote normal year since before the pandemic.
No.
Like every year there's been some major curveball that's been thrown out at society in general and the macroeconomic well-being of the country. And it's just like, oh boy, when will we get a year where we don't have something?
Yeah. I was just talking to a guy about that this morning, and I don't know if that exists. I don't know if there's going to be a smooth.
Yeah. I don't know if there is that, if that exists anymore. I mean, it feels like before the pandemic, we could go like 2 or 3 years without some major.
When we first opened, it was rock and roll, man. It was let's go.
But it wasn't anything on the national level that was then trickling down and having a direct impact on the local level. But now it's like every year, it seems like there's something. And of course, this year is this thing in the Middle East. And now gas is almost $5 a gallon. So that impacts people's spending,
mm-hmm.
right?
Everybody.
And it's like, how do we circumnavigate that? And the cost of all my raw materials are going through the roof. That was my malt vendor I was talking to. He's like, oh yeah, get ready for prices to go about 15%. And it's like, dude, where am I supposed to?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to do that? Right? Because it's like, okay, you raise the price of your 6-pack. Well, what's that do to my consumer? Because the consumer's also paying $5 a gallon for gas, and it's like, there's a breaking point here somewhere, right? Yeah. It's I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see.
So why do we want to come back? Do we need new beers to talk about this?
Probably. You want another beer? Yes, I do.
And we're back because we need some more beer for this topic we're going to dive into.
Oh, gosh.
But before we get into that, I do want to talk about a really cool event you did. Was it in February or January when you brought all those old bottles out?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Celebration.
Yeah, that was awesome. Can you talk talk about that a little bit on how often is this a recurring thing, or you do it every couple of years?
No, so it's one of those things that you can't do it every year. Because I think it loses its luster, but it's really a unique event to where, we've got a lot of beers that are sitting in our library that are aging quietly. Some of them are in barrels. Some of them are in package. John and I huddle up, and I think you pulled 2 beers out of barrels in the barrel room. You did some blends, which were cool. And then we took some stuff that hasn't seen the light of day in a few years, and then we bring those out. And it was a great day. I came in, I saw a lot of familiar faces. We do have a very strong contingent of barrel-aged beer drinkers, so much so committed to coming in on a Saturday at noon.
Yep.
And shout out to all you guys that made it to Celebration. That was very cool. But we didn't, it wasn't just dark beers. There was some light beers that were aged. We had brought back an old favorite, Superba Pilsner, aged in gin barrels.
That was bottle conditioned also.
Yeah, bottle condition. There was some, unique stuff. There was some, we had some sours that were in bottles. So, yeah, it's something that we don't do every year. I would say I don't even have a cadence for it. It's not like every so many years. It's just kind of like, hey, this feels like a celebration year. And we just keep adding to the library. And then every few years you might catch a celebration event first quarter.
Mm-hmm. It's cool seeing that. I didn't even know you guys made sours.
Oh, we have. We don't do them a lot. It's interesting. You get known for what you get known for, I guess, and you don't really have a choice in what people are like, oh, hey, we're going to know you as this. Okay. But it's the same is true in the opposite. It's like people don't really know us for sour beers. Admittedly, we don't make them a lot, but we have made them. But it makes it an interesting challenge because we don't make them a lot. People don't look for them. And it's a very niche audience. And so if that niche audience isn't coming in looking for it, then they don't sell. And then when they don't sell, it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to make them that much. And,
Mm-hmm.
So
no, that's not a criticism of you. It's just, it was kind of cool to see it. I was like, oh.
Yeah. Well, it's just interesting how sometimes that stuff happens, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily happen with intention. We didn't set out and say, hey, we're not going to make sour beer. We've made some, and I think they were quite good. But, it's not what our audience is looking for, really. And so they haven't moved as well as some of the other beers, and so we just don't make them that often.
Have you guys looked at, I know there's a real trend going on with the gluten-free sours. Is that something that is easily done? Or
there's nothing easily done about sour beer, first of all.
Okay.
First, and then second, doubly so for gluten-free sour.
Okay.
Gluten-reduced sour beer, that's not terribly harder than sour beer. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not personally. I mean, we can talk about it. If the sales team really felt like, hey, we think there's an audience for something out there, then of course we would try to make it. But my personal feeling is gluten-free sour beer is like a niche of a niche. And I don't see, I don't see the audience. Now, Nick might disagree with that, and we can talk about it off podcast. But I have a hard time seeing.
Let's get into it right now.
You want an Indian leg wrestle over it?
No, I get why people like sour beer and appreciate it. I've had some really good sours. I don't know. It's just not like who we are, right? It's not. I've enjoyed the ones that we've made over the years. They've been cool projects, but the sales team isn't beating down my door either to say, hey, we need to do this sour beer. I mean, we did a run of Gozas for a while, and that did pretty well for us, especially in the Columbus market. But but that trend even seemed to fade a little bit. I mean, you can see it on the shit. Like a lot of the gozas that were popular kind of went out of vogue, and so I'm as one with indigestion problems. You're not going to find me drinking a lot of sours. I'm built for speed and for quantity.
I'm built for lager, baby.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, right? Is sour beer gets a lot of press. I mean, look, we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Right. But when you look at the sales volume of sour beer, whether it's from us or from anybody, it's an infinitesimally small percentage of the craft beer market, right? So then when you look at breweries that, that's their focus, right? Those breweries typically are distributed over a massive territory, right? Because they're 4 miles wide and a quarter inch deep in every market. And that's antithetical to the way we run our business, right? And they have to be, because the market for sour beer is tiny, right? And that doesn't mean you shouldn't go after it. I'm not telling anybody not to do that. It's everybody's own individual sort of decision to make. But it's a different game, right? The way we like to play our game is we like to be a mile deep and an inch wide, right? Mm-hmm. So, we're only in Dayton, Cincinnati, Columbus, and Toledo, right? And so that's not a huge territory. When you look at breweries that really aren't any bigger than we are, and they're just, sour breweries, and they're distributing across the whole country, right? So it's like,
different folks, different strokes.
Yeah. Now, I like sour beer, but I also, like Nick, like if I drink sour beer, I'm going to have like 8-10 ounces. And then I'm good, because it's too acidic. I get an upset stomach if I drink too many of them. Yeah. And on a Friday night like tonight, because it's Friday, and because I am who I am, I'm going to want to have like 3 or 4 beers.
7 or 8, probably.
Yeah. Hey, we're on 2 now, right?
As far as you know.
Oh. Do you guys ever have a
Are you clocking us?
No.
Are you clocking us?
No. Do you guys ever just go to the tap? You're having a stressful day. Oh, I'm going to go grab a beer. Is that no?
That typically doesn't help when you're having a stressful day. No. It's good when the day's over, right?
No, and that's a good point. Like, I think you got to be careful in this industry, on how your relationship with the products that you make, right? I mean, I learned that early on. I enjoyed them probably a little too much when we first opened up, and then you develop a balance, or at least you try to develop a balance. So, like, I don't want to go to, man, I had a really stressful call. I'm gonna go hammer a beer. Like, that's not the way to go. There's other ways to relieve that stress and whatnot. But at the end of the day, or the week, Friday, like to come and have a couple beers and celebrate what we do.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, I don't drink during the day. I mean, you got to taste stuff to make sure it tastes okay, right? But that's different. I'm not going to sit down and have a pint in the middle of the morning or something, right? So typically for me, the pint of beer is the reward at the end of the day. So I don't sit down and have a beer, quote unquote, until I'm clocked out. Right, until work day's over, and it's like, okay, now I'm done. Now, if I want, I can have a beer. Yeah, right.
Same.
That's just you got to, like Nick said, you got to set some
very
boundaries.
Healthy habit. That's good.
Well, you got to have some boundaries for yourself, because there's no one here to tell you no.
Yeah.
Right.
No wife's here to tell you no either.
No, and we've seen it. I've seen it in my 20 plus years in the business. Some people it'll eat you up if you let it. It's fun, but you also have to exercise some restraint and some boundaries, like John said as well. So, I think that's all you got to say about that.
That's all I got to say about it.
Yeah,
I just love how we always do Friday shows. It just fits perfect.
Well, we schedule that on purpose, bro.
Yeah, that way we can have as many beers as we want. because this isn't work to me, right? Even
Yeah.
though technically this is work, I'm talking about work and whatever, but it's your work, right? I'm just here to be the ear candy, and you know, I can sit here and have as many beers as I want, right? Doesn't matter.
I'm here to be the eye candy,
You are,
but
the
you don't have
candy.
videos, so no one can really appreciate how good I look today. Damn it.
You're pretty sharp. You look pretty
Thanks, man.
sharp.
I tried to match myself.
Because funny enough, those Dayton panels, which you're hopefully eventually get you on too, John,
They get wild.
they get wild on because it's always a Friday.
Blake will take his shirt off. It gets crazy.
Really? I don't know if I want to see
No, we
that.
haven't seen that yet, but
Yeah.
maybe.
If you promise to do that, then I'll show up.
Maybe.
We drink Underbergs. We drink Underbergs. We
We had
at
a
one
ver-
time I took over the mic. This
Yeah,
one. Remember
yeah.
that? Did you get
Yeah.
nervous?
No, I'm fine. Nothing was wrong.
There's photo documentation of me taking the mic over. Blake, did you use the bathroom?
Yeah,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then I took over.
I apologize for my partner.
it was all right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Dayton had a strong turnout that day.
I think we had every brewer, minus
Wow.
John. But I was representing the wing. We had a good crew.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't get to hang with those people all the time. You know, we have the DBA socials on Mondays, and it's really hard for me because my wife works late. I get a bunch of crap for that, but it's not that I don't want to hang out. It's just, but when we get together, like, there's some really good people in the Dayton beer scene, man. And I'm excited about that because I've been to some other markets where there's not so cool people, or they think their shit don't stink, and you know that sucks because we're all doing like something really cool. We're making beer, right? And we're bringing people together. We're celebrating our communities. At the end of the day, we're all trying to make a living, support our families, you know. And we've got a pretty good group in Dayton, and I'm like, we have a good time. Like, you should try to make one of those one time because, you know,
I'll make sure you're tied in.
yeah.
So
Sounds good. Well, I mean, you know, like Nick said, I'm not really looking for more beer-related stuff to do.
That's true.
I like being married, and I think, you know, Danielle's been very cool about everything, but there's a limit, right? So
That's why you schedule them during the weekday.
yeah.
Yeah. Don't cut into family time.
I felt bad my first year on the other one. We did a Saturday morning, but you didn't mind at all.
Well, that was on the heels of an event, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was right before an event, so I think we were rolling into like a Whiskey Rebellion or something.
Yeah.
So that's okay, because I'm going to be here.
That
anyways.
Whiskey Rebellion the last year was it was fun, but I felt
John, I
it.
don't think John. Were you?
No,
were you
not
here?
you two were here because you guys both had deaths in your family.
Oh yeah.
Chris,
God. Yeah.
Chris took the flag.
No, I did come in. I
You
was
came
here.
in, but I wasn't.
I
gonna have
came
you on.
in, but I couldn't. I wasn't podcast material. I just lost my father,
Which
and
I'm
so
sorry.
no, it's all good. It's all good. He's in a better place. We're good. But yeah, so you had some other people sitting on that cast.
Yeah.
It was it was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Hey, Chris held the fort down.
Oh yeah. When you're not here, dude. Thank God I was here. It got really squirrely. Both times. Because that OCBA event, you remember, they rescheduled it during your spring break.
Yeah,
Hey,
I know. Yeah,
they're
I got
always
a
trying to
bunch of
get
pictures
squirrely.
of these assholes giving me the finger.
No, it
while
was
I'm
your
on
number
vacation.
one. Your
Yeah,
number
yeah,
one.
That's what they were telling me.
We share the love when you're gone. So what we do is if you're not with us and we're having a good time, we make you feel it by sending you a photo, a selfie of us. You know.
You're the bird.
Yeah. But to John's credit, he and Danielle and their friends sent us back an equal love gram.
Yeah.
Oh
From
yeah,
Florida.
we were gonna stick you in one of those tanks, weren't
Yeah, Dan Lauro wanted me to get in my underwear and get in the mash tun. I'm like, dude, I don't need that shit in my life. John sees a picture of that, you're gonna come back and crawl on my ass. I don't need that. Nobody needs that.
Nobody needs it.
Plus, me in my underwear, nobody needs that either. You know what I'm saying?
But if you're going to go that far, you might as well go all the way.
No
Just
way,
get it.
no
Like,
way, dude.
Just get all the way.
We'd have
Just
so
do
many
it.
people all over us. There's not enough sanitizer strong enough.
Hey, I say it all the time. One of my favorite guests I have on outside you guys is someone you train, Alex Reinhardt. He's been on
Alex is
several
great.
times.
He
and-
finds his way onto every one of your podcasts.
yes, I'm shocked he didn't show up today.
He's a chameleon. He's found a way to represent himself in Dayton and Cincinnati, probably Columbus too, in Cleveland. I don't know.
I'm actually happy he showed up in that Cincinnati one because a couple people got sick, so he was able to fill in a void that I needed.
I love that. He got deep on the Dayton one, remember?
Yeah.
And I was like, I never know you spoke so beautifully and eloquent, softly. He's very sharp.
He might be the smartest guy I've ever had the opportunity to train.
Yeah.
For real.
He's very mellow.
The guy's brilliant.
Yeah. Shout out. Hey, Alex.
Because we have a project that I'm going to try to work on. Have you in on this to have him?
I know where this is going.
Him, Quentin, Chris. Maybe we can finally get Colton.
Are we getting the band back together?
Yeah,
don't forget Fortney. You got to get Fortney in there.
Okay. Well, you help me with some of the people you've had on. I think that would be a fun sit down.
Let me tell you something.
I don't know if I want to be there. But
yes, you do. Let me tell you a story. So one time, John took me back to Michigan, and I got to meet a bunch of the dudes that he trained, and it was such a cool experience because they love him. And they told me some stories. Like I got some dirt on him, and they told me that, you were hard on these dudes. Like they were like,
I was way harder back then than I am
they
now.
were like, you got like nice soft hags. I'm like, what? They're like, you should have seen him back in the day, but they all loved him and they were all doing great things. Like, I think most of them were running their own breweries or they owned a brewery or whatever. And it was such a cool experience for me because, I hadn't known John that long, and to see all his dudes that he, trained or, came up under his tutelage, and they're all like coming out for beers, and it was pretty cool. So I think that's a great idea for a podcast to get all his guys that, have worked with him in Dayton, and that would.
Fair enough. I will say this, and that is, I don't make beer, I make brewers.
Yep.
That's the goal.
Mm-hmm. No, that's something to be very proud of, John. You know what I'm saying? And I think your guys, I've seen another example of that in my own life. My wife, when she changed careers right before we started the brewery, and she went to work for this guy, and he was a Vidal Sassoon guy in New York City.
Yeah.
So he came from,
big time.
and he was really hard on the girls, and he held them to a very high standard, right? And at some point he shut down the salon, and they all spread out and went to different salons. And I'll never forget, my wife was like, she didn't really truly appreciate him until she went somewhere else, and like she wanted herself to be held to that standard again. So they all came back together.
Yeah.
A lot of girls from Bellagio. And so I know what that's like. I know when you have somebody that seems hard at the time, but they're doing it for the betterment of your development and to make you a better person, professional, and that really works.
Yeah, I will say this, and that is to that crew in Grand Rapids, I'm sorry that I was such an asshole. But, my heart was in the right place. I was trying to make our team the best as I could. I think there's a maturity process that you go through as a leader, right? I know it certainly was true for me. And so trying to get people to adhere to that quality standard that you want them to without having to browbeat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Right? There's a way to do that, right? I know it's interesting because I watch some people in our own company now here at Warped Wing that are doing that same thing that I was doing to those guys in Grand Rapids, right? Or in Holland. And it's like, that's not the best way to do it. I know because I did that I had to learn other ways to do it because eventually people will not tolerate that, right? But I'm glad that we were able to help those guys further their career, and I'm glad that I was able to do it and still come out the other side as their friend, right? So
I think that's good. Yeah, no, I think remarkable to go through that process and see it. I mean, mine was a little bit different. I didn't have somebody like a mentor like that was, like that. But I worked for Anheuser-Busch, and the standard there was top, first in class, right? And everything we did was first in class, and the leader. And so I was able to take that experience here, and I teach that to my team in the sale. Like, we're going to be best in class, in service and that and all that. So, it's you take pieces of that with you later in your career, and you use it to the best of your ability.
So I had this buddy when I was in college, right? And we used to say to each other, and there's a whole group of us really, but we used to say to each other, if you're not going to be the best, who is? Some chump.
Yeah.
Meaning most of what it takes to be the best is you deciding you're going to go do it.
Yeah.
Right. And then holding yourself to that standard and holding the other people around you to that standard to do it. Right.
Yeah.
It's easy to make an excuse as to, I don't have to clean that as well, or I don't have to do this today, or I don't have to, right. You can rationalize any sort of behavior you want and feel okay about it. But inside of yourself, if you're shortchanging whatever it is that you're doing, or not. And so even if you don't feel like it, like the thing that I do for myself, because there are days where it's like you don't feel it, right? I don't want to be here. I don't want to do it for whatever reason.
You don't feel like you're trying your best.
So
I have that too.
Right. So you're at work and you're trying to do your job. I got to step back and I think, man, we charge a lot of money for this beer, right? It's whatever it is, $11 a 6-pack or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
We charge a lot of money for this beer, right? There's some dude out there who's making minimum wage, who's a fan, who's saving up his money all week so he can come in here and buy a pint or buy a 6-pack or whatever. And damn it, if that beer isn't right because I'm having a bad day today, it ain't gonna matter to that dude. So get over yourself and do it.
Yeah.
Right. You gotta do it. Right. Yep. That's the way it is.
And I also want to say your price points are not bad.
Thank you.
Compared to some other 4-packs that are out there that.
Yeah, but we're getting to a point like we were talking about earlier. We were starting to talk about like what's going on macroeconomically.
Happy. I like happy.
But before we go into that,
but that's the reality. That's where we're at, right?
Yeah.
And beers, we're trying to sell it at the best price that we can, but still got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, to that point, we traditionally have held, and I think a lot of brewers have held, but we continue, and this is crazy, like John's point earlier about the malt, like we've absorbed a lot of cost increase, and then we finally take a small price increase, and then we get hit again. And so those are the headwinds, right?
Well,
those are the things that are happening.
Because I was emailing with Nick and some of our other group yesterday about some stuff. I went and looked up, we got a truckload of malt last April 25. The freight for that truckload cost me $1,450. And I got a truckload of malt last week, cost me $2,900. Exactly double. Wow. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, okay, so my freight cost is going to be twice as much going forward. Awesome. Right? I mean, now I'm eating it, right?
So that, I had a conversation with a friend of mine this morning. He's his business is similar to ours. He has manufacturing, he has retail, he has distribution. He told me flour, he's in the pizza business. Flour is outrageous.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's it's like, you don't have to, it doesn't matter. Business is business, and costs are going up. And so like, we rapped for probably 30 minutes just sharing each other's, stuff. And he goes, it's good to talk to you because you're going through the same thing that we're going through. We're all going through it. Like, and that's just a small example of two similar industries or similar business models going through it. And so, yeah, it's tough, but you know, we try to sell it at the price that we can. We try to absorb things as much as we can, but then it gets to a point where we want to be here. We want to stay around, right? It's not just a neat hobby; it's a business, right? And those are the things that a lot of us have had to come to grips with over the last couple of years. You know, when this last resurgence came out, it was all fun and games, and anybody could open a brewery and things were good. And now, you know, there's been a lot of challenge, like John was talking about earlier. Every year there's been something, right? You know, in the economy, there's pressure, there's the Middle East conflict, there's gas price, there's all kinds of things. So, you know, that's been tough, but it's also been great. The positive to that is John and I have learned a lot about business, right?
More than I want to know.
Well, yeah, more than we want to know. But at the same time, we have such a passion and love for this, and what we do is that we will learn, we will continue to grind, we will do what it takes to keep Warped Wing going, because of, you know, the guy that John's alluding to, the guy that works really hard all week and wants to come in here and have a pint. For the people that are in our tap room right now, like we're proud of what we built here. I know there's other people that are proud, and we want to keep that thing going. So if we got to learn more about business and how to, you know, the nuts and bolts of everything and cost of goods and that, then that's what we're going to do, because we plan to be around for the long haul.
So how often do you have to buy grain?
So, I mean, everybody does stuff a little bit differently, but the way we organize ourselves is that we buy malt on a monthly basis, right? And so the way it works for us is I will write our production schedule in the middle of the month for the following month. So, for example, this past month, April, around plus or minus April 15th, I'm writing our production schedule for May, right? And so I'm looking at the sales forecast and what we're going to be selling over the next couple of months, trying to lay that in. And then, you know, that'll take a couple of days to put together, and then we'll go ahead and order the malt. We want the malt to arrive before the end of the month, so that then it's here, so that we can execute the May schedule, right? And so we do that on a monthly basis, right? So typically for us, it's about a truckload of malt, plus or minus, 40,000 pounds of malt monthly.
Good. Is there ever sometimes when you do your sales report, okay, I have this plan and a beer would take off faster?
Yeah.
Does that happen from time? How do you navigate, like, if all of a sudden, like, certain beer starts selling faster than you had planned?
Yeah, well, the best example of that is when we brought out Trotwood a number of years ago.
Trotwood?
Yeah, we couldn't get ahead of that for about a year. I mean, it's just the way it was. It sold out constantly. Yeah. But all you can do is like, okay, we put the forecast in for a new brand. Like right now, Game of Juice is a new one, which is what you're drinking.
It's awesome, by the way.
Both of you, Nick and
Mine's almost gone, so I'm going to need another one.
And so, it's an unknown. You don't know how people are going to respond. So you put your best guess, put the numbers in, and then you have to adjust them up or down, depending. The plus with Game of Juice is that we can turn it faster than, say, Trotwood. Trotwood's a lager, so that was a four full weeks, minimum, start to finish. We can do the Game of Juice a little bit quicker than that, so that helps. But still, it's a challenge, right? And so, typically with new brands like that, you will see some overstock. You will see some out of stock. As we're trying to figure out what the heck's going on, or I got too much in the draft, they don't have enough in the can, or vice versa. And so, all you can do is really keep an eye on the sales numbers, right? And start to build that historical data up. And so as you do, then it starts to smooth out and you kind of get the hang of it and away you go. So, I mean, that's the best you can do. And typically when I order malt, I'm also ordering a little bit extra for those sorts of things, right? Like, oh, hey, look, we're oversold. It could be on one of the core brands, we're oversold on something. Right now, we're oversold on pills. Just happens that way. And so it's like, okay, we're going to try to slip an extra batch in. So, you do what you do.
Well, you kind of talked about it, so we'll talk. So, Gamma Juice.
God, I was hoping you were going to ask.
I mean, it's such a good beer. I mean, I love drinking it. So, talk to me about the idea of Gamma Juice and why you called it Gamma too. Because I know Gamma Bombs is your flagship.
Or I'll let Nick talk about the name first, and then we'll talk about the beer after that.
So, I'm really enjoying this beer right now, for the record. I think let's start like the beer itself, right? I like to say that it is the best of both worlds. Mm-hmm. It's like West Coast IPA meets East Coast IPA because it has some of the elements of Gamma Bomb that people have grown to love, right? But then it also has a New England IPA yeast that throws off a lot of new flavors, tropical flavors. So it's like, what does my one sales guy call it? It's like a West Coast, East Coast love child is what he calls it. And I like that. And the reason that we trusted this brand with the Gamma name is because we have so much trust and equity in Gamma Bomb as our number one selling beer. You're seeing more and more breweries leaning into that because what's happened over the last several years is there was a ton of consumer experimentation, right? They'd go into a beer aisle and they would just buy beers, and sometimes it wouldn't work out. Sometimes they would be let down. So what we're seeing now is a consumer that is leaning into the brands that they trust. And so as our number one beer, they call it kind of mega brand strategy. It brings new life to the mother brand, Gamma Bomb, but it also brings in a new consumer that maybe Gamma Bomb, maybe West Coast style is not their jam, but they're into hazies. So it brings new people into the franchise of Gamma Bomb. And right now we're seeing minimal cannibalization of these two brands, which is interesting to me. But that's why. And I've even had like big retail customers tell us that that's what they're looking for. I mean, there's some bigger breweries that are doing it at a larger scale. And so it's not new, and it's proven. Big retail is wanting it because they've seen that it works, and that it's bringing new customers into the beer category, the craft category more specifically. So that's kind of why we did that. It's instead of just creating a new name for it and creating a new brand identity, we leaned into our number one selling beer and did an extension off of that. And so far, so good.
What do you want to know from me, Blake?
I guess I had a follow-up question because with that, because you mentioned others, because we talked before we started recording again, which Truth is the number when you think of what they've done with that brand
that's a good example.
Is that something else you see with Gamma? Is this like the start of something just with Gamma Juice, or do you see?
You trying to box us in?
I don't know.
No. It's a good.
Maybe sound.
It's a good question.
Because
I will say right now I don't have any. Well, we have talked about some different ideas for the Gamma. I'll call it the Gamma brand family. Mm-hmm. Truth is a good example. Mm-hmm. They've recognized that they're building brands off of their flagship. Mm-hmm. And so, that's one of those examples. Bell's is another good example. New Belgium. There's a lot out there, right, that are expanding off of their flagship.
This is better than Voodoo Ranger, by the way.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for saying that, but I'm not saying that. That's up to you as a consumer to decide.
There's so many great beers out there. It's not the first time. Like we did the Double Gamma. So we've riffed.
I love that book.
Yeah, we've riffed off Gamma already. This is probably the biggest one. And I will say as leading the sales team, I was able to get more placements with this particular brand because it was attached to Gamma Bomb and its success. So it's not all just based on feel goods and trends. It's also based on our big customers and what they want, like I said, and they not only want it, but they're supporting it with shelf space and distribution. And so it's hard to ignore, that strategy doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. So how does this hazy compare to, you had Hydro Haze and Radio Vision? How does that compare to the other two?
Well, I can't speak to Hydro Haze because it's been a few years since we've made that, so it's hard to recall exactly.
The cash before that.
Yeah, and cash before that. So, there's been this evolution of hazy IPAs that we've been working on. Because honestly, when hazies first started, I thought, oh, that's a fad. That's going nowhere. And, of course, I was wrong. And so then I had to kind of go back after the fact and sort of catch up. It's interesting when you spent your whole career trying to learn how to make beer clear, how hard it is to make beer permanently hazy. That was the challenge, right? It took a while to figure that out. And I had a lot of people tell me a lot of different things that turned out to not be true, right? And you try them and it's like, well, that didn't work. So we eventually got it sorted, obviously. But it was a challenge. And so I think, you look at those earlier brands, Hydro Haze. Well, the Cash was the first one. Hydro Haze then was the next iteration of, well, we think this one's getting closer. And then, of course, Radio Vision, I thought was pretty good. But I think this one is even better, frankly. And the big difference between the Radio Vision and the Gamma Juice on a basic level is the Radio Vision is a little sweeter. The Gamma Juice tends to be, a little bit drier. It's not dry. It's not like drinking a West Coast, but it's drier than the Radio Vision, which tends to be sweet. So it depends on what you like, right? If you like a sweeter, heavier beer, you're going to like the Radio Vision. And if you like something that's a little bit drier than that, then you're probably going to like the Gamma Juice. The big thing with the Gamma Juice, though, is that one of my hop vendors had sent me some samples of this particular new German variety of hop, and I hadn't used it. It was sitting back in the warehouse, and we were doing this collab beer with David up in Tip City, right? And he wanted to do a hazy IPA. He wanted to do it with Citra hops, and it's like, okay, great, we can do that. I can help you do that with the collab. And I'm like, what hop am I gonna partner with this? And I'm looking at because I didn't really want to have to buy. I would have bought something if I had to, but I didn't really want to. And I'm like, oh, I got this box of Solero hops, the German hop. And I'm looking at the diagram and the flavor profile, and I'm like, oh, this will probably work. It's a collab beer, so you can take some chances that you can't do when you're making like a full scale thing. So, it's like, okay, we're gonna do this, right? And we're gonna use the hops. I sent him all the specs, why I thought it would work, and he agreed. We used it. Indeed, it was home run. It's like, man, that hop is phenomenal, right? Really orangey and juicy, and it was great hop. And so when we started working on the Gammages, because that's what we do, when we do these collab beers, any beer that we make in the pilot system is research for future stuff that we might do. Some of it might not be detectable sensorically, but some of it is. And in this case, that particular raw material was like, oh yeah, that's the one we want. And so we put it in as part of this of the gamma juice. So that Solero hop is killer. Thank you. So it's really the key to the beer, right? Because it really helps drive the flavor. And it was interesting. So once we started doing it, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to buy some of these. Sorry, I'm gonna have to buy some of these. And so I called our hop vendor up, and I'm like, hey, I got to buy some Solero, right? It's like, how many boxes? I need like so many. He's like, well, I only got like 10 boxes. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'll buy them all. So I bought out the whole North American inventory of this particular hop.
Nice.
Yeah. So whatever. It was only 10 boxes, but still.
Yeah, still.
And so I bought the whole thing. But it's the key hop in the key flavor component in that.
Don't tell anybody.
Don't
tell anyone the secret hop.
Yeah.
Oh,
so really
cut this.
Whoops.
Oops.
We're basically. So yeah. So it's. I'm really excited about that particular hop. It's interesting because it hasn't really. I was talking to our hop vendor about it, and he's like, I've been trying to get people to use it, but no one's really picked it up. You're the first one that's really started to run with it. So I'm like, oh, well, okay, great. Cool. We're ahead of the curve, so that's good for me.
Yeah. So because you have all these core brands, so how do you navigate trying to keep your core brands on, but also bringing out the new, like something new? Because I'm probably one of them. That what do you have that's new? Because I like trying new things. Because I believe that's one thing that craft is built on, to try new things. And how do you navigate the balance of that?
Well, it's getting tougher and tougher. I mean, we have a good amount of core brands. Gamma Juice, a new core. So I think we're getting to the point where we're going to have to maybe take something away from an everyday brand, because it's tough for John and his team to manage, a production forecast of that many brands plus seasonal.
What do you prioritize when everything's supposed to not run out?
Yeah, and like from my sales team standpoint, we've talked about strategies to narrow down our focus. We do have a narrowed focus, but you can still buy any of the brands that we have. It's getting challenging. It is, and I think that's one of the things that we'll be working on is how to narrow that focus, because we do want to come out with new stuff, when it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But that is a challenge.
I know you experimented with the 10-ton thing. You did 3 different 10 tons for years, and my dad was a big fan when you brought 10-ton oatmeal stout back full time, because that's his favorite beer. That's his thing.
We learned a lesson on that one that did not work so well, because what we learned was we alienated our 10-ton and our Ermels loyal customers, and so they were confused by it. They didn't like it, and so we went away from that kind of rotational, like almost turning it into a seasonal. And so we went back to the original everyday Ermels and then 10-ton. So
let's dive into real quick your 12 years. Congratulations for making it that far.
Thank you.
I mean that's a milestone in itself. So what should people expect for your 12-year?
12-year. We're doing it like the anniversary party. We're doing a little bit different this year. We're not going to do the whole live music thing. We're actually taking a more communal approach. Our marketing team's working on bringing in some community partners like vendors and kind of doing like a marketplace to celebrate all the cool things that we have in the Dayton area. Which I think is cool, because it kind of ties back to our promise of share a pint, make a friend, right? I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we've been about since day one. Is beer brings people together. It creates friendships. It is something that you can lean on in good times and bad. And so we're trying something new this year. So yeah, that's kind of what we have going on for that. But just a great day to come out and then share a pint and hang out, see some friends, and celebrate 12 years, I guess.
Anything you want to add?
No, I think that's right. I mean, celebrate 12 years. Unfortunately, I will not be here to help celebrate.
Yeah.
You're never at the big events. That's a joke.
Because he's gonna fucking be in Mexico.
I'm kidding.
This guy.
Don't you?
Oh, sorry.
We're on the radio.
Oh, sorry.
We're on the podcast.
I thought, are we allowed to cuss on this?
Hey, FYI, there's an explicit. You can click the explicit on if you want to.
Well, fucking A, Blake. What
Can
did
you
you
bleep
fucking
me?
tell me that before?
I thought you know that you're podcast
God damn
masters
it.
now.
No.
Well, he just outdid me by
I know.
2 times.
Well, I
Where
agree.
you
Yeah.
don't think I haven't used it on the Dayton panel?
Oh, jeez.
I'm sure.
Oh, jeez.
I several months ago, and I mean, I'm going to say this, but I probably should have known that the party was going to be that weekend.
It's okay. It's okay.
I agreed to participate as a judge in the Rojo in Tampico, Mexico.
Yeah.
And so that's from May 11th through the 16th. So I agreed to do that. And, you know, I've been talking to that guy for a few years about getting down there to do it. And it's like, man, if I don't agree and go one year, he's going to stop inviting me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's
that's
like,
not a new event. I was thinking it was new because you've never
well, it's
gone
new
in the
to
past.
me. Yeah, it's new to me. They've invited me a few times to go, and it just didn't work out with my schedule for a variety of reasons. And so this year I'm like, oh, look, I'm open. And I was like, oh, I screwed that up.
Well, we'll have to
So,
figure that out going
It is
forward.
what it is. Look, I'm happy to be going down there because I love going to Mexico, and there's a really good group of judges that participate in that kind of stuff there in Mexico. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of my old friends down there. But it is going to preclude me from being at the event.
Well, we're gonna
You're
miss
gonna have to
you.
be on guard now.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're gonna miss him.
I'm sure I'll get like plenty of those logogram photos
Yeah. Well,
with the bird in it.
yeah. And since he's doing this, I'm gonna get him my underwear in the mash tun with his bottle of mezcal, probably.
Let me know if you're doing that so I can get another one.
Well, who am I gonna shoot mezcal with?
Well, that weekend, I
I'm
guess.
sure Muncie
God.
would do it.
Yeah, but I love Muncie, but it's like a tradition. So we might have to Zoom you, or I might have to FaceTime you.
Oh, we can do that.
All right, I'll FaceTime you.
Saturday, I'm going to be on an airplane now, so.
Shit. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I
we'll
don't even
figure
know
it
what
out.
time I get in. I have no idea.
We'll figure it out.
Okay.
We'll sort it.
Last question. 12 years. What does that mean to you? Like, you've been around for 12 years.
I've actually been around for 57 years. So I don't know where you're getting this 12 from.
Warped Wing, like 12 years.
Warped Wings, 12 years. I don't know. You know, I think it's awesome. I think that there's probably more significance put on anniversary events and stuff than is appropriate. We, you know, like we were saying earlier, we go to work every day like everybody else and grind and do what we need to do to keep the thing open. So, you know, every day I wake up and we're still here, and so I celebrate that every day, really, because I don't think anyone really has, unless you're doing it, you don't really have an idea of how hard it is to keep the thing on the rails.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, to me, it's just the next day, really. But I'm glad that we get it, and like I said, I celebrate that every day.
Yeah. 12 years. I mean, to think when you create something from nothing, and not only create something from nothing that people seem to enjoy, it's a surreal feeling. And especially with the last few years and how hard things have gotten, I want to make sure that we don't take it for granted, right? The fact that we're still here and we're still able to do the thing that we love. And every day is not sunshine and rainbows. And if anybody tells you it is, then they're lying, because it has become a business, right? And it's a business. And, but I'm proud of it. I'm proud of 12 years. And if John and I have anything to say about it, we're going to be around for another 12 and another 12. And, the fact that people continue to support us, that's, I don't think you can put a price on that. We have some long-standing team members that have been with us almost that entire time, John.
Yeah, there's a few people. Yeah,
there's a few I feel like that's rare in today's environment.
Yeah, it's hard to know. I don't think it's common, but it's hard to know.
So there's a lot to be grateful for. And sometimes you get wrapped up in the day-to-day and you're not necessarily in the moment understanding and appreciating it. And I want to make sure that we do. And so I think the anniversary symbolizes a day where we can sit back and say, holy crap. We've made it this far. We're still here.
You didn't have to do that. You could just said the word.
He's going to bleep it anyways. They're going to think you said it.
So, we're still here. We're grinding. We're fighting. We've always been a resilient group. And so, yeah, it definitely means a lot. And it's gone fast. I mean, when we started the brewery, Colin, your son was what, 5?
Yeah.
And he's graduating, going to go to college. My son Cameron was just born, and he's 12, and he's becoming a young man. So that kind of puts things in perspective too about how long we've been doing this.
You go back and you look at the photos of yourself, and you're like, wow, I was a lot younger back then.
I was younger, less gray, had more hair. I was thinner.
Yeah, I was not as fat.
But also, it means that I'm going to drink some mezcal. John always has some really nice mezcal.
I definitely want to try it.
Oh, dude. Hopefully you'll leave me access to it.
I think there's a bottle in the office.
Okay.
So.
Well, before you go to Mexico, and you'll probably bring another bottle back, hopefully you will, because I'm going to have
You should do a podcast on mezcal sometime.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you guys for your time. Always making time for me when I ask, because I like having you guys on the podcast. It's always a fun time.
It's our pleasure, man. Thank you.
We love you, Blake. Always, man.
Cheers, and hopefully for another 12 years.
Yes,
right?
sir.
12,
Let's
baby.
go.
Cheers.
Cheers.